Did you see the intro video I sent you?
Yeah, it's class.
And the shot is good. Kieran Geldenhuys. And the shot is good. Kieran Geldenhuys. Buries the ball.
When you first got to Notts, obviously coming from like the Middle East, did you ever feel like you were like starstruck? Whether it was like the youth training, like being at like a professional club or first team players? Because I know Callum McGregor from Celtic was there while you were there, wasn't he?
Yeah. So when I never was really too starstruck when I first got there, and I think that was just purely my like naivety. If I mean, obviously, if I went to like a Premier League club, I probably would have been a lot more starstruck, and I didn't realize at the time how good some of these first team players were in that. And I look back on it now, and I'm more starstruck now than I was then. Like you said, like Callum McGregor was there, who's obviously doing very well for himself right now. And whilst I was there, Jack Grealish was there for a season, and obviously
Really?
training with him. Yeah, so
He's not
he
done
was
too
there.
bad as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's not done too bad for himself. So he was with us for a whole season. Had some training sessions with him, and he even then he was just unbelievable. Like everyone knew he was going to be just like a world beater. I mean, because he was playing left wing when I was playing right back, so he would just rinse me on that right wing.
Yeah.
It was on his left wing, my right, but it wasn't fun. And now I look back on it now and I think, well, don't feel too bad about getting rinsed on that left side.
Absolutely not. I'll be
Yeah.
shaking at the knees if I was in goal against him.
Yeah, it's just like you just look back on it now and you just think, wow, I don't feel as bad about it. But no, I look back now and that's probably my biggest starstruck kind of moment. And their vision, essentially, their first touch is always setting themselves up for what they already knew what was going to happen pass-wise. So their first touch would set them up perfectly for their pass that they knew they were going to play before they even got the ball. And that's something I try to work on as much as possible, especially being a right back and having that narrower range of passing to maybe a centre mid would have, because you got the byline right behind you. So for me, that was one of the biggest things that I took from a lot of these guys coming down from these bigger clubs. They were just so good at doing that type of stuff, and you just really try to take it on board.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, in terms of training, was that the biggest step up? Do you feel sort of going into a professional setup like that? Sort of like the quality or the training, maybe? Was it more intense?
I mean, yeah, you hear the cliche every time you take the step up about the speed of play, and it's always quick. I mean, the cliche is true, otherwise it wouldn't be a cliche. So, I mean, the biggest thing is the speed of play. It just feels like it's a million miles quicker than what you're playing at every single time you take that step up. And it is true. So and that's just a matter of getting adjusted to it. And I feel like that's a struggle a lot of players have, eventually just keeping up with that speed of play as you go up. Some players just don't take the time to learn from their mistakes, and they get frustrated, and that's what holds them back a lot of the times. But that probably is the biggest thing, that, and obviously technical ability as well. Yeah.
Would you say, I don't know, maybe Jack Grealish or facing Callum McGregor, was that the hardest thing about your time at Notts? Or and basically, what did you take away from that experience for your time in the US?
Yeah, I mean, facing guys like that in training can be demoralizing at times, but you just have to learn from it. From like a purely football perspective, that would be the hardest thing that I've dealt with. But so much of it is mental, and that was the biggest thing that I took away from my time in England. Is just basically your mental fortitude, just how how tough and rigorous they make it for you on purpose, just to see if you can really hack it or not. And that was my biggest shock going into England, and that was my biggest lesson I took with me leaving England. You can't let certain things get to you. And the players at the top, you can see it now, they're just so mentally tough. I mean, you look at a guy like Timo Werner right now, and you know mentally he's struggling. And then you look at someone with confidence like Bruno Fernandes, someone like that, and you know that's just what's separating both those players right now. It's just purely mental.
So like a lot of youth players obviously have that obsession about playing professional football. What advice do you have for them trying to fight for a pro contract?
I personally would say you have to put in extra hours. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. You see there's two types of players who will make it in the pro setup. One will be people or players that just basically get the pure God-given ability. They don't do any extra work. And usually those ones are the ones that last the shortest time in the pro setup, because their whole life they've just purely relied on their natural God-given talent. And then the other half of players are just those who've just stayed after training, worked as hard as they can. And they are usually the ones who may not be as technically gifted, but they will have longer careers. So if there's any advice, just know your weaknesses, stay after training, work on them for as long as possible. Doesn't go unnoticed by the coaches. And I mean, you'll see results.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing. I tried to put in extra hours, but you look back on it now and you think, maybe I could have done a bit more, you know?
Yeah.
And that, I try not to have regrets, but if I did have one, that would be it. So if that's any advice, just you're not going to get away with that without putting in the extra hours. So that's my biggest thing.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to put James Milner as their hero and look up to him.
Fights for the back, that boy. Exactly, he's a prime example, isn't he?
So moving on to the US, I guess in the early days, in terms of settling in, what was your experience like in terms of the college as well as like your team and the sport?
I didn't really know what to expect when I first got over there, and I gathered that from a lot of my friends who have taken the same route. I don't think we fully understand what's expected of us, how much of a struggle it is to juggle both academics and athletics at the same time. Both take up so much of your daily tasks, and you're left with maybe 2 to 3 hours a night. So I can say my first 2-3 semesters I put in minimal effort, just because I didn't really know how much grades would affect you throughout the 4 years, especially in your first 2 to 3 semesters. I thought the classes were a joke. It is, and that's what it was. But I soon came to the realization that they weren't, and things like GPA do matter, and the classes in the first 2 to 3 semesters had a big impact on that. So if I could have put in more work on the academic side when I first got there, I 100% would have. But other than that, the university college lifestyle was just, I mean, it's great. It's the amount of money that gets injected into the football side of things is, you won't find it anywhere else in the world in a non-professional setup, and that's just a pure fact. You get treated unbelievably well. I got treated better than I did at a professional team. You get immense amount of gear. You get everything paid for, food. You get to travel across America on planes, and it's just a really, really great experience. You know, you do feel like a professional in that kind of environment. So I definitely didn't expect it to be as well run as it was, and I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, I was going back to what you said on the academic side of stuff. I was probably in the exact same boat as you, putting minimal effort. My whole head was focused on, you know, playing football or soccer, and it was a massive uphill climb from there to try and level it up to what I wanted it to be. And I guess you get in that mindset, like coming from British curriculum background where you're like picking the subjects that you want to do, and then you go to America and it's like I have to do all of these pointless stuff. What is mathematics, or maybe not maths, because maths is involved with what I did in marketing, but it's that like religion. Not hating on religion here, but what did religion have to do with marketing? And that was my sort of mindset. Is I don't want to be here, but like you said, it matters so much to your GPA. And actually, I smashed religion, got A+. So.
Love to hear that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I wanted to ask, were there any light-hearted initiations that you had? I know initiations in the States, obviously, it was quite frowned upon at my university, obviously because of the fraternity side. But you see in football, new signers standing up on chairs and singing a song. Was there anything like that for you?
Yeah, it's a very fraternal. They do that a lot there. They do it a bit differently to standing up on a chair and singing songs, but they do frown upon it quite a bit. I can say that on my team, we never had to do anything crazy like that. We would throw a Christmas party annually, and all the new guys would get pies to the face or whatever. And it's just something lighthearted like that. And I think that sort of initiation sort of process in America didn't happen on my football team because there was a big foreign influence on our team. But I know on the American football team, they would do all kinds of just dumb stuff, just so stupid. And I do think that is built into the kind of American university culture, athletically, when it comes to the baseball teams or American football teams. But I think because we had such a big European influence, we just really weren't bothered by things like that. But no, you definitely do hear some absurd stories from the other sports teams. So yeah, no, but we didn't have to do anything too crazy.
I guess like the overarching question is, would you, and I'm guessing I could guess your answer, but would you recommend the US to someone coming from the same background as you, as in like a professional setup in the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it's very individualistic to everyone. It depends what you want. And I was very inclined to want to get a degree and something to fall back on. And if that is what somebody would like, I don't think there's a better opportunity worldwide. You get a lot of the time a majority of a degree paid for, if not all of it, along with housing, food. You get treated like an absolute professional there. So if education is something that you do want, along with an opportunity to play professionally in America or even abroad afterwards, then yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic route. But it's not for everyone. The academic side of things can be quite tedious. But if you put in the time and effort and really make a conscious effort to work hard at your studies, then you'll be fine. But I think it is a great opportunity, and I would personally recommend it. Just go somewhere south where it's not too cold and nice and warm, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, my two, because we've got snow here today in London, it's sort of reminding me a tiny bit of when I was in Minnesota and there was 6 feet of snow, and you'd spit on the ground and it'd freeze before it got to the bottom.
Yeah, you could have had it much worse for snow than where you were.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana's not great either. You're probably getting, the side of it, but yeah. Although the South, I wasn't that far south in North Carolina after, and it's humid there, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
Pick your poison. Which one would you bear less?
Yeah, try and get something in California, San Francisco, UCLA. That'd be nice.
That would be my recommendation. Yeah.
From college in the States, again, football and in general at university, do you have any standout moments that sort of like stay with you? My speaker's gone. Hold on. When I get to the stage where I'm interviewing Ronaldo, I'll need to sort of work out these tedious little bits.
Exactly, mate.
Right, let's go. So I guess in general, best moment from college in the States, on the pitch and just in general at the college and the uni.
That's actually a very good question. I mean, we won some trophies, won the league, won a league tournament as well. They were both great moments. Playing in the NCAA tournament was also a really great experience. I think football-wise, we played in the NCAA tournament. I think we got to like the round of 16, and we got to take like a private jet to go to play Wake Forest in North Carolina. And their facilities are just unbelievable there. So I mean, football-wise, that was just unbelievable. So much fun. I mean, and other than that, just off the pitch, you make so many memories. Like all the guys I went to school with there, they're just still my best friends. You know, talk to them every day, even though I'm back in Dubai now. I mean, my one friend's having a wedding in May, so I'm going to fly over there, go see them. So, I mean, you make so many memories over there, and it's just, the summers are great. You make so many new friends. It's a really good time overall. So, don't know if I can pick one off the pitch moment, but yeah.
Off the park.
Off the park moment. There we go. Sorry.
Yes, that's it. That's the one. Done.
Off the park moment. Edit it in.
Smashed it.
Down.
And I've also realised, like, I've been rolling back on my chair and just getting further and further away, but it's so loud that when you're answering, I don't want to like. Oh, there's going to be so many bloopers for this.